Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the program. It's Chris, live in central Pennsylvania for another in our series of interviews with South Africans recently arrived in the United States, refugees under President Trump's program, which admitted South Africans suffering from unjust racial persecution. Today's guests are among that group who are concerned about others and about identity, so they've agreed to come on the program. That's not their name, but I've renamed them Pete and Madeline Bice. I guess they should just be happy I didn't call them Mel and Pete Filion. What do you think there, Pete?
Yeah, no. Yeah, that would have worked out so well.
No, that would have been so good. If I advertised that Mel and Pete on, I bet you have about 40,000 people watching right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then I'd be accused of clickbait, which I would be guilty of if I did that. But my guests are up in Lowell, Massachusetts, or as we prefer to call it, those who don't live there, Taxachusetts. We're going to talk about their experience as refugees in the program. And I want to thank them before we get started because they were flexible when my internet provider was acting like a turd last week, acting like the South African and U.S. government, and not providing a service which I pay for. Fortunately, it seems to be working now, and they were flexible to come on today. Also, later today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock South African time, Hannes will be on the program. Hannes van Wyk, who is from the channel Film with Hannes. He will be on to talk about his experiences in Georgia. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, Pete and Madeline, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
for having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Now, bear in mind that it's hard for me because this is as if you're on the radio. So if we interrupt each other, you can see me talking, but I can't see you talking. But so if I interrupt you, I apologize ahead of time because sometimes some people, I'm not sure the cadence of when they're pausing and when they're stopping. But we'll make the best of it. It's a little more challenging like this. It's one of the disadvantages of radio and without the video. Anyway, well, let's go ahead and get started this. You guys, when did you arrive in America?
The 11th of March.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been here for a little bit now. And we'll get back to some of the other questions. Let's do this a little differently than many of the recent interviews. So when you arrived, were you greeted by your agency or representative? Did they take you to temporary or permanent lodging? Was that suitable?
What they did is they actually had volunteers come and fetch us from the airport and brought us straight to our apartment where we were going to be staying. Or where we're still staying.
Okay, so from day one, you were put right into permanent quarters. You didn't have to spend any time in a hotel.
That's right.
That's great, Joe.
Okay, so then I'm guessing that the housing is suitable because you're still there.
Yes and no. The apartment itself, we were very lucky. It's a clean apartment. It's quite big because we are a family of 5. The area is a little bit judgy, but we've gotten used to it. We are planning on actually leaving this area. It's not the best of areas, but it's still a safe area.
Okay, so not in an ideal spot, but safe enough for now.
That's right.
You say 5 in the family. Did you bring adult parents or do you have kids with you?
We've got 3 boys with us.
Okay.
23, 22, and 20.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Those aren't boys. Those are adults.
Well,
yeah. It's my 3 sons. They are all adults. My eldest son is actually autistic.
Okay. Oh, so he's you're his guardian then. So that's still part of your nuclear family.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So My 3 Sons, wasn't that a television show? a long time ago for Fred McMurray. All right. My 3 Sons. Yeah. I hadn't heard that phrase in a while. Okay. So let's get back to the brass tacks of this thing. So Madeline, when did you first hear about this program that President Trump made available and how did you hear about it?
I actually remember watching one of your shows. On the day my husband was still at work and you went live, and I phoned him immediately and I told him about it. And we just decided, let's go for it, because so many things had already happened. We're just like, to hell with it, let's go. Let's do this. It's going to be better for us. And for us, it was more about my children.
I see.
Giving them a better opportunities.
So was this early stages during the PRM email? I mean, right when I announced it, or sometime after that?
Yeah. Sorry. That was the day when you were sitting in the Wimpy, and you went.
Okay. So that was that wasn't early days. That's why I asked. That was actually in May. So you guys didn't hear about it February, March, and April. You didn't hear about it. You didn't hear about it till May then.
No, we did hear it in March, February, March.
Yeah,
I did the initial email, and then I did the first. Yeah, it was the initial email in May. The day after it came out, I did the statement of interest.
Yeah.
Okay, so
first did the statement of interest, and then we did the email.
It was email first, then statement of interest.
Yeah, you guys are confused me. Let me just run through the timeline of what was possible. Okay,
Sorry.
so let me just explain. Okay, so the PRM email was effective the 10th of February, and it lasted until May 12th. On the morning of May 12th, I was in Wimpy, and I announced that there was a statement of interest, and from the 12th of May until November 4th, it was a statement of interest. So when did you guys hear about this? That's what I'm confused about, because I started talking about it the day that happened.
It was the day you announced it, the 10th of February.
That was the 7th of February is when I announced it.
Oh, the 7th, yeah.
Okay, so were you watching my program before all of this?
Actually not. We came across it by chance.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I can't even remember how. It just came up on our YouTube, and we just started watching it, and we haven't stopped since.
Oh, you mean the brief window when YouTube actually promoted my content? I was so grateful for that. The whole 5 minutes it lasted. I thank YouTube for those 5 minutes of glory. I wish I could get about a year of glory. It'd be nice. Anyway, all right. So you did come across my stream early on. You saw this in the early days. You did do a PRM email, and you sent it in March. Is that correct, Madeline?
Yes, that's right.
So you didn't enact initially, but you did within a short time, and then you did the statement of interest because you saw me at Wimpy at OR Tambo.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's it, yeah.
Now, did you get to the stage where you had to do the intake questionnaire or no?
No.
Okay.
We were actually lucky.
Yeah.
When we started the interviews and everything was when we finished our last interview was on the 30th of October, and in November they started the next the intake questionnaire.
Okay, so you sent in a PRM email in March of 2025 and arrived in America 12 months later in March of 2026.
That's correct, John.
But I thought everybody that just got interviewed 2 weeks ago was in America. That's what everyone keeps telling me in these bullshit.
Well, it works. Actually, I'll be honest with you, for a long time we were sitting, because you don't hear anything.
Yep.
And you sit and you're like,
You're still losing faith.
Yeah, you lose a little bit of faith in that, and then all of a sudden, things just happen. Within 2 months from the first phone call till the last interview, that was about 2 months. Mm-hmm. And then we didn't hear anything from them until
February,
yeah.
Well, that must have been a little stressful.
It was, and I mean, like last year for us was a very stressful time. That's why my dates are like completely confusing, because I remember my mom still went to hospital, and they actually phoned on her phone after she passed away to speak to her. And we're like, sorry. And even with the interviews, it all happened like right after she passed away. Within 2 weeks, we had to go for the interview, and then the one in Pretoria, and then our car broke down in Bloemfontein, and we ended up driving like 20 or 40 kilometers an hour from Bloemfontein to Pretoria. Everything was just a complete mess, and we started thinking, okay, this is not supposed to be happening for us. And then we had our interviews, and then it was just quiet, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, here's your flights, and we're like, okay. So it was like up and down.
So I want to just cover something you were talking about there very quickly that's important here for context. Okay, so what people need to understand is that when you put your PRM email in, or your statement of interest, or both, and then your intake questionnaire, is not when your case starts. That is not the date to complain about. I had someone politely contacting me last night, and if you're watching, this is not directed at you, but it's emblematic of what happens. This person told me that they had their interview on April 23rd and they haven't heard anything. Should they be concerned? I'm like, it hasn't even been 3 months. I didn't say this because I didn't want to be salty, but I mean, take a deep breath, calm down, develop some realistic expectations. This takes, 12 to 18 months timeline normally, and even longer. And so, but the thing is, what the guy needs to do is, he didn't tell me initially, is that he did the PRM email, he did the statement of interest last year, and that's what's in his mind. Well, I've been doing this for this long. No, you have not. You have not been doing this that long. Yes, I know you submitted this, but they didn't get to you until they contacted you, and that's when your process started. Your clock didn't start in February last year. Your clock started, 2 months before October. So, August. August is when your clock started. And then once you've completed the interviews, that's when the waiting period starts. And what I want to say is that you finished on 30 October, so November, December, January, February. It was 4 months after you completed the process of you answering their questions and giving the information they needed that they got back to you and said, here's your tickets, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's very important for people to understand, because they don't understand that. People freaking out, and their mind is locked around when they sent an email or did this, that, and the other. You are one of hundreds of thousands of people who inquired about this program, and it takes a god-awful amount of time to go through these things and get to people, especially with the incompetence they've got in some of the people working on this, in the contractors. And I say incompetence because we just saw people sending emails out as an auto reply telling people they had a letter of denial, or letter of ineligibility, which they never got. And it was just bogus. So, all right. So it was 4 months after you finished that process that they were doing background checks and sorting it all out. And then they got you tickets. So what was that like, Madeline, when you got that email and you saw that you had tickets?
Honestly, my oldest son, he got his email first. And he came running into he got woken up with it. He's like, Mom, check your emails. I'm like, okay, relax. And I found my husband at work, and I was like, it's done. We finished with the process. It's yeah. And we were all very, very excited until we got the email stating it's been delayed.
Yeah, our flights got cancelled. There was a 2-week waiting period. We were supposed to fly the end of February, and then there was 2 weeks that they just stopped the flights.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that scared us a lot, because hey, what if it doesn't get rebooked? And we carried on working, we carried on with our life, just in case it still didn't happen. We're so used to disappointment, we're like, okay, only when it happens, actually happens, will we really get excited.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, South Africans say they're used to disappointment, but there's an awful lot of South Africans that are losing their mind over this program with absolutely unrealistic expectations, like they're owed something and that, people are treating them unfairly. I'm like, have you ever interacted with the South African government? You actually have the audacity to claim that? Sorry.
I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. If they come here thinking, having that same attitude, they're going to be very, very disappointed, yeah.
Well, they're also going to fail.
Yes. I mean, it's been an up and down road since we've been here. I also thought it's going to be very easy because I'm English, it's English, yeah, and it was a huge culture shock for me as well. I realized I'm different. The people here are very different. I mean, even the food, yeah, we had the same food, but it's not the same.
Well, this is what I caution people about all along. You may speak English. You may look similar to the people that are here. You may even have similar backgrounds, being Christians and being from European descent, but you're different people. I mean, last night, sitting down with 3 refugees, with Spook and Spook's spouse, and with Veroshka, the conversation came up, and one of the refugees was talking about, they asked for a trolley, and the person just stared at them. A trolley? What do you mean? And I said, explain to her. I said, to us, a trolley is the thing that's in San Francisco. It's a streetcar. She's like, huh? I said, yeah. No, what you're talking about is a shopping cart, and we all had a good laugh.
Yep. We've had the same at Walmart when I went and asked for a trolley. The woman, I actually had to show her the thing you push with your hands to put stuff in it. And she's like, oh, and she called it a carriage.
A carriage? Like, well, where is she from? Haughty England? Nobody calls it a carriage.
Yeah.
And there's been a few things, especially Walmart here. Everyone that works inside speaks Spanish. So
Yeah.
you end up playing charades with them to try and find things.
Well, that's courtesy of the invasion of America over the past 40 years by our politicians who've watered down our culture and altered it and then claim that it's a wonderful thing. It's not. So there's a question here from Mara Farie. Is this big fish? No, this is not big fish. That's another interview coming up. So, yep. Yep. Yes, if I can, guys, if you take a deep breath here, I'm in the middle of an interview. If you could say it's big, no, it's not big fish. Good Lord, take a break there. My goodness, I'm doing an interview here. I will bring Chad in as I can, but stop being so demanding over here. It's like 3 people. Is it big fish? No, it's not big fish. It's little fish. Anyway.
It's a little bit.
All right. All right, back to the interview. Sorry about that, guys. I'm being rude. Anyway, so all right, so yeah, it is different here. I mean, you can get the same sorts of things. Like you can get lamb in America, but it's going to be different than what you get in South Africa. You get spices here, but by and large, they're going to be different than you get in South Africa. And you're going to see the same things, except the difference here, guys, is that the lights actually go on and stay on, and the robots actually work, and the lines on the road normally mean something that people obey, and they actually stop at the robots, and then and some of them even signal before they make turns. Believe that or not.
Well, I was really shocked by the school buses that everyone on both sides of the road stops behind one. It really confused me. I was like, but why aren't the other side people at least driving? And my son explained it to me because he just got his license. But so there's even road rules. It's the same, but it's also like there's added ones that we because like in South Africa, my mom was a driving instructor, so I'm like, no, I've got this. This is easy going to be driving. I mean, how difficult can it be? You're just driving on a different side of the road. It's completely different. You have to stop behind a bus. Both sides do. If you're driving on the highway and there's a policeman, you've got to go to a different lane. So there's still a lot to learn.
Well, the thing is that every state has its own laws, but the one thing that's universal in America is a school bus. Traffic on both sides must stop, come to complete stop. And there's a reason for that. These kids dart out in front of the bus and you can't see them. And if you try to overtake or if you pass, they go both directions because they live on both sides of the street. So that's why we have that rule. Also, we're unlike virtually any other country, we have buses to pick up kids to and from school and home delivery sort of thing. I mean, my school bus stopped in front of my house on the farm every day we came back from school. It took me a half-hour bus ride. I had to go from the high school to the smaller village and switch to another bus, although most of the time my bus was the same one, so it worked out, but other people had to switch buses. It depends on how they change the route. And it took about a half hour to get home, only going 23 kilometers because of all the stops. You stop every place the little rugrat gets off the bus. And there were different buses. I mean, I was on a bus with the high school kids. Then, in the town where the elementary school was, there was a whole set of buses that just took the elementary kids around. So it's quite an operation, and I don't think a lot of people understand how it works. If you live in a city, it might be different. Your kids might walk to school or take public transport. But in much of America, most kids go to school on a school bus. And they also have the smaller buses for kids with learning challenges and disabilities, and they call that the short bus, which is not a particularly polite thing to say. It's kind of a derisive term. But if you ever hear that term, that's what they're referring to.
Okay. Yeah. I do see someone put here, wouldn't it be good to learn some Spanish? You can try. It's not the easiest language.
Oh, it's not hard, but I refuse to learn it. This is my country. We speak English. They can go to hell and can go back to where they came from. When I live in countries, I learn the language. That's why I speak 6 languages. You make the effort. And these people trying to colonize our country with these alien tongues can go piss off. Sorry, but that's my view on it.
That's my husband's view as well. Me, with the job I'm doing, a lot of the clients are Spanish. So I've learned like 2 sentences, which is literally Espanol and un momento. And I just pass them over to a Spanish person. I'm like, that's about the extent of my Spanish already.
Well, if they talk to me in Spanish, I stand there and stare at them. If we don't get anywhere, then I just start speaking French or German. And then they just they shake their head and they're like, I don't understand you. I'm like, yeah, and I don't understand you. This is America. Let's try English.
The only problem is, Chris, here where we're staying, there's hardly any English-speaking people.
Well, that's because the invasion. So you're right. You're going to want to move to somewhere else where there's actually Americans at. And before the racists and bigots attack me saying people speak Spanish aren't Americans, that's not what I said. America has native-born Spanish speakers whose first language is Spanish in old Texas, southern Texas, Mexico, Arizona, and Southern California. But the invasion of people from Latin-speaking countries who've never been to Bethlehem, to Harrisburg, to Gettysburg, to Altoona, and suddenly swamping our neighborhoods and demanding we speak Spanish is BS, and that needs to stop. Sorry, that's just where I'm at on that.
Yeah, no, like I said, my wife says, yeah, I must change my attitude, but I'm like, you know what? I came to a country that is English. You know, for me to walk into a shop and try to draw a picture for a guy to get what I'm looking for, because or goes on Google Translate. Now, I've got a bad sense of humor. When I go into Walmart and they tell me, oh, he goes on Google Translate to understand what I'm saying, then I start talking Afrikaans. And Google Translate is not that good with Afrikaans at the moment. So then he still doesn't understand what I'm trying to tell him.
Well, see, there's further proof that I actually write much of the lyrics when I do Afrikaans songs, because if I was using Google Translate, my Afrikaans songs would suck, and most people say they're actually pretty good. especially my Steve Hofmeyer song, and then the one that I did get some help from AI was the trading the Jan card for a Trump card. That was a little cheeky. I needed help on that because of the jokes. Yeah. All right, so you mentioned your son got his first, your eldest son. He's the one that's autistic. I'm guessing he's a well functioning on the high range of functioning for autism, based on what you said.
He is. We are trying to help him because he is extremely introverted, and he struggles with social things.
Situations, yes. I'm sure that's a challenge for him.
So we are trying to get him into the DDS. Unfortunately, the refugee agency that we're with, it's very new to them. So they are trying to help him to get into certain programs that'll be beneficial to him. But because it's very new to them, they have no clue what they're doing. So it's kind of bumping heads a lot and running into walls. But we're getting there. We're slowly getting there.
So your other two sons, I think 22 and 20, are they working? Have they found work already?
The one started today.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. He just needed his license, and he got that last week. The people were nice enough to hold the job for him for a month and a half.
Yeah.
Until he got his license. So he got his license last week, and this morning he started. He's already phoned telling all these stories of how happy he is, and he got a phone that he has to work with, and so he's very excited. My other child's been working now for about 6 weeks, night shift, but he's happy. I mean, he wants to work overtime, and I keep moaning at him because I don't want to drive at 2 o'clock in the morning to go fetch him from him doing overtime, because I have to leave here at like 7 o'clock to get to my work, because I work in New Hampshire.
Ah, New Hampshire, the Granite State, one of my favorite places.
Well, we actually are considering moving there.
Well, it would be a good move. It's a great state tax-wise. It's a beautiful state. It's the only reliably conservative state in New England, so to speak, if such a thing exists. It's a beautiful place. I love New Hampshire. You get everything. You even get the ocean if you want, because a little narrow strip of New Hampshire touches the ocean down there at Portsmouth. But it's lovely. Manchester's nice, and Nashua's nice. You got the Green Mountains there, so. Green Mountains or what? Yeah, White Mountains. Anyway, White Mountains. It's quite a lovely place. But yeah, so what are you doing, if I may ask?
I'm working as a debt collector.
Oh, stay away from me.
Yeah, no, I like to stay away from everyone. I think I've come home more times crying than anything else. People are horrible. The people that I work for are amazing. Everyone, all my colleagues, absolutely lovely people. It's just the people on the other side of the phone, not so nice, but I'm slowly starting to toughen up.
So that sounds like a very difficult profession to be in, because you're going to deal with a lot of angry people who are debtors who haven't paid their bills, and they're going to blame everybody but themselves.
Yes. And unfortunately, they don't just get nasty and sweary, they get personal and they get ugly. Which I never expected from people. I've always had this attitude that people are all good. You just need to find the good. I'm starting to learn that's not true.
Oh, it's definitely not true. I can tell you that about some people who wear their sleep gear, their bathrobes, and do videos and slander other people. I can tell you that for a fact. There's a lot of people that are not just good people. So it's a shame. But it's true. What about Pete? What do you do? Are you working or are you a stay-home guy right now?
At the moment, yeah, it was a bit difficult. Well, I got a job offer today.
Oh, congrats.
So yeah, it has been a bit difficult. I did start work. It was about a month ago that I got offered a job, went for the interview, everything, worked for 3 hours, and then they go, "Oh, but you don't have a green card, so you're not allowed to work." I'm like, "No, I've got my EAD and everything." No, you require a green card. You can't work.
That's not true.
So they let me go, and I'm like, "Are you for real?"
Oh wow, it's a shame that you don't have like an attorney or something like that. They could be sued for that. That they can't fire you for that. That's wrong.
Honestly, my words to him was, then it wasn't the right fit for you. You don't want to work for people.
No, it's a good point. I wouldn't want to work for people that are that stupid, to be honest.
Exactly.
So yeah, and then also another thing, because of the biggest problem here to find work in this area is because most of the jobs require your second language must be Spanish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. So now you have to look out of the area, like, and you have to travel far and to get to work.
Yeah, I mean, my youngest son, his job is in Boston. My other son, his job is in Methuen. And both of us are in New Hampshire.
And the two of us are going to be working in New Hampshire. So, yeah, because this area here, if you don't speak Spanish, then sorry, not interested.
Then they wouldn't like me because homie don't play that. Yeah.
But honestly, I'm also going to say, like, Lowell, I call it Lowell. I can't say Lowell.
Lowell.
It sounds weird to me. So I call
laugh out loud.
Yeah, it's like saying laugh out loud. I can't do that. It's not Lowell. But Lowell, it's a beautiful place. Make no mistake, it is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
Lowell.
But I'm
sorry.
Raw now. I'm going to be like really blatant. The drugs here is ridiculous. I mean, my children have had to pull me away because I call them zombies. Because they take drugs and they literally hang over. And you see them putting needles in themselves. And I'm like, this person needs help. And my children will be like, no, mama, not your problem. Walk. Yep. So that's the main problem here. And I've heard it's especially in summer. In winter, they I don't know where they are, but they're not here. But they literally, in our street that we live, they're sitting in the doorways, putting needles in their bodies. And I'm like, I don't want to live here. That's one of the reasons why no, this is not our area.
Yeah, no, I got you. Look, I mean, this drug nonsense has been going on for some years, and I don't understand the attraction. This is my approach to things. If you need to anesthetize yourself to enjoy life, there's something wrong in your personal life. There's something wrong with you. And frankly, that goes with alcohol too. If people can't enjoy themselves without drinking alcohol, it's one thing to do it, casual drinking, have a drink or two, hang out, have a braai, have a beer, but the people that have to keep drinking, otherwise they don't enjoy life. There's really something wrong with them. They need to look at themselves and see what's missing in their life.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Well, with four of you working, I'm going to guess that you'll have the resources to make that move sometime soon if you're all staying together.
Yes, we have decided to stay until about January. No?
Yeah.
Only because the agency won't give you back your last month and your deposit if you leave before your lease is up. Yeah. And for some reason they signed our lease in February already, so we've only got till the end of January to wait, which isn't that long.
Okay, so hold on a second. So your agency signed the lease for your place.
We're still trying to figure out exactly what's going on there because a lot of us have been talking to each other, but we did sign one with the landlord.
What date did you sign that?
We signed it on the 12th of March.
Okay, then that's when it's effective. So you'd have till March of next year. You need to be very careful about this. We already have one person here in Pennsylvania that's had been handed a court order, and they have a lawsuit against them for skipping out on their lease, which wasn't their intent. But they had a ridiculous lease that required 60 days notification, and they only gave them 6 weeks, 2 weeks short. So they're coming after them, and you don't want that sort of mess. So you need to be very careful about what your obligation is in the lease to notify when you're going to be out. I just talked to someone last night in Buffalo who doesn't have a lease and is being threatened by the landlord and by the case officer because the person is 2 hours by public transport from where they work and they want to get closer to where they work. And so they tried to intimidate this young lady, and I talked to her last night and I said, no. You didn't sign a lease. So if you don't have a lease, then you have no rights, other than what the state grants for renters, and you have no obligations. Although the state of this is New York in this case, New York does have a requirement for renters, regardless of whether they have a contract or not, to notify landlords 30 days. So I told her, I said, look, if you get a place on 1 August, which is just a couple weeks away, then the smart thing is the moment you've got that lease signed for the other place, notify your landlord and then give them a 31-day, wait 31 days. You're going to have to pay part of the rent, or maybe they'll even try to fleece you for the entire month, but that's just something you're going to have to live with. It's better than losing, or having to pay for multiple months or being held accountable for the rest of the lease. Now, as far as the deposit, if the deposit came out of your grant money, then that's money that comes back to you. But if the agency paid for your deposit out of their own resources, then it's not your money, the deposit. Does that make sense?
Yes. They did. They were here because you get like a 3-month close where everything was out of our grantee. So that much we do know.
Yeah.
They don't give much information to you. I have to beg to get information, but we were able to establish that.
All right. By contract and under the law, they must provide you with an itemized list of everything they spend from your grant money on your behalf. If they're not doing that, then insist on it. If they're not doing it then send ORR an email reporting them for failing to fulfill their contract. Don't say it that way. Just tell them that you've asked for an itemized list and they're not giving it to you. Martin Koch says, good morning. I've been in the U.S. for 9 days, still going through all the steps to get things sorted. Thank you, Colonel, for all the help and information provided. Well, thank you, Martin. Get a job and start super chatting. I mean, after all, we're obviously just doing this for the money. I mean, right. Anyway.
Only doing it for the money.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about. Okay, so you guys, let me ask this question, Madeline. Any regrets about doing this?
Not one. It's been difficult, but not one.
Yeah, even though it's been an uphill battle, make no mistake. But when I look at because like my wife said in the beginning, we did this more for the kids because in South Africa they didn't have a future whatsoever. And what they've accomplished in this short amount of time, here, they would never have been able to accomplish it in South Africa.
No.
So yes, that was the most important thing to us.
Well,
I mean, I know they are a little unhappy because they're happy and because both of them have got long-term girlfriends that's still in South Africa that they also are trying to help get over, they're helping them with the process. So it's bittersweet for them, but they've also seen that, they got a job without having to beg and plead and, it's difficult. I don't know how to say it without sounding mean, but if you weren't of a certain race, my son would never have got a job. He never got a job. And it was just, they looked at what he studied, how qualified he is, they looked at him as a person and realized there's potential and said yes, which doesn't happen in South Africa. Even me, I would never have got the job that I have now in South Africa. Never. So the opportunities for them, and I don't have to worry about safety for them because unfortunately that was for us. I know it's not persecution but for us, we've been through that crime part with my husband being stabbed in a home invasion, and my children saw that. And since we've been here, they actually take my car at 2:00 in the morning to go. Like my one son will go, Mama, I'll fetch the other one. And he'll actually take my car and I'll go, okay, fine. Where in South Africa, I would never have allowed. They weren't allowed out of my sight when it was dark. So it was the best decision we've ever made. Difficult, but the best.
Well, I did say from the outset that this is not easy. It's not immigration. It's a refugee program. You start over from the bottom unless you have lots of resources, which some people do, but many people don't. It's gonna be challenging. It'll break families. You're gonna get homesickness. Is gonna happen. It's not destination shopping, which a lot of people seem to think it is.
Yeah, no, definitely. Is it homesick?
No.
Not really.
Give it time. Give it time. It'll happen. Yeah, it'll happen.
I think it's because we've got friends here, but we actually don't really have any family left.
Yeah.
So it was very easy for us to make this decision because we weren't leaving anyone behind.
Yeah. I need to interrupt the broadcast for just a moment here and deal with this. Listen, Lou DeBeer, whoever you are, with a member Statue of Liberty, which means you've been a member for at least 4 months. I don't understand what your major malfunction is, what your issue is today. Perhaps you got a letter of ineligibility, and if you did, that's unfortunate for you, but your attitude is piss poor. Yassine, go ahead and give that person a timeout for 10 minutes if they can't grow up and act like an adult in this broadcast. Just for those who didn't catch it. And off our cons, the comment was, now there are drugs and he gets a good job. Isn't it a Refugees Elites program now? No, it's not. Why is the elite? Because you're not here? That doesn't make it elite. Grow up. No trophies. I'm ashamed. By the way, he respects Mexican people too. Who? Respects or disrespects? And what are you talking about? So if you don't like how I speak about Spanish speakers, that's your problem, your personal problem. And I didn't say Mexicans. I said Spanish speakers. So get your head out of your ass. And then how did they get there? Well, they flew here in a plane, genius. Listen to the crap he's talking about. No, Chris cuts the interview, secondhand embarrassment. No, the embarrassment is you, Lou. I don't know what your problem is. Are you one of these people from the Ferrayas group there on Facebook? I don't know how you became a member here with such a piss poor attitude. If you want to act like a child, then there's a Facebook group you can go join, a community, and whinge and whine about your personal problems over there. If you'd like to contribute to the conversation as an adult, you can ask legitimate questions. But your profanity, your piss poor attitude, your crappy conduct is unacceptable. And Yassine, if you haven't given the person a timeout already, give them a timeout. And after 10 minutes, if they want to act like an adult, they're welcome to come back. After that, if they act like a fool, then they'll simply be banned. We will name and shame them. We're not going to play this game with idiots today. Sorry about that, guys. But I mean, I'm not going to tolerate that sort of nonsense. I don't need that. I'm not 22. I'm not looking for approval or, any self-affirmation. So it's time to do what Ronaldo does and just give these people a PK. Sorry about that.
That's not a problem.
To be honest with you, because I've been watching your program so long, I was expecting something like that. There's always somebody that's
being an ass.
There's always somebody. That is what it is on every time. So it doesn't bother me. To be honest with you, the people do not know what happened to my family in South Africa and what the real reasons were that we came over, that we applied for this. I personally don't feel like, don't comment on stuff you don't know.
Yeah. So just for Yassine's benefit, I can see Lou, and Lou has got a 10-minute timeout. So just for everybody there. Yeah, look, you guys are anonymous because you have concerns about people that are back, but you brought 3 adult sons with you, so I'm guessing you have other family or other things going on back in South Africa that you want to protect.
Basically it's our children's, their longtime girlfriends and their family, and I have a brother, and then my husband still has family.
Yeah,
there.
Gotcha. No, that's fair. That's why we make this offer to people, not everybody. Unfortunately, all the Indians have come on my program and want to do it anonymously too. The color folks got no problem coming on camera, and I love them for it, but the Indians are all like, no, we're here on H-2A visas. Okay, keep telling your family that.
Yeah.
That's shame.
So Vitman America, interesting, White Man America, says, I see many refugees starting GoFundMe campaigns. Several have left his state complaining about almost everything. They're picky about jobs. I'm disappointed with my fellow Afrikaners. Well, Vitman, the more people that come over, the more people like that you're going to see. I mean, we have people that just up and go back to South Africa on a whim, and only a handful, fortunately, but it has happened. And we have people who are their own worst enemies. You can ask Spook and Veroshka the text messages I showed them last night on my mobile phone from bat crap crazy, disrespectful, rude South Africans. So, people, I get a few people attack me occasionally, Pete and Madeline, saying that I'm rude and disrespectful to Afrikaners, which is poppycock. I'm rude and disrespectful in response to rude and disrespectful and insulting people who misbehave. And unfortunately, there are plenty of them in your community. It's a shame, but it's a true story.
Yeah, no, it is. There is. It doesn't matter where you go or whatever. There's always somebody that's got a negative attitude towards life.
Yeah.
It is, and I also feel, unfortunately, there are people that don't allow the sun to shine over somebody else.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And that the true colors on that have really come out in this refugee program. You see the behavior. I mean, last year, the refugee who put in the PRM email and then mentioned to his sister, who spitefully told his employer, and he got sacked, and now he's still in South Africa a year and a half later with no job. I mean, what is wrong with people like that?
Exactly. No, that to me, I don't understand people like that. I mean, I know, like, in our area, I think there's 3 or 4 families that have already moved or on their way moving to different states.
Yeah.
And I could not be happier for them. Honestly, they've got children, they found a job there, and they're making it work for them. And that's, I think, if people just spend more time on themselves and stop being jealous or upset with other people, they'll find out they can also be happy themselves and can actually accomplish a lot more.
No, 100%. Marissa Beslar just said some people should learn to think before they speak and learn to act their age and not their shoe size. Well, I agree. And if you saw the comments of people who send me notes when I didn't have a conversation with them, they intrude into my life, writing me unsolicited WhatsApps, and I politely respond and thank them and occasionally mention the things that they send me, even though they're just nothing but an annoyance, but I'm still polite to them. And then out of the blue, they call me the C word repeatedly and insult me. Because I assume the person must have got an ineligibility letter. Well, that's his problem, not mine. I didn't make myself ineligible with the program. He did. And he wants to blame me for it. But anyway, enough of that nonsense. Let's get back to your story here. So, Pete, what was the driving factor for you guys to leave? Was it a lack of opportunity? Were you persecuted because of your skin color? Was it concerns about the future, persecution? What drove you to want to leave the country?
Well,
All the above.
My son that just started working today, after he left school, he applied for a job, and actually they sent him a letter back and said to him, he's qualified, but they can't employ him because he's white. He actually got a letter from the company stating that.
You don't happen to have something like that still in possession, do you? Or is that something left in South Africa, or it's a long time ago?
Yeah, it's left in South Africa.
Shame, because things like that, I would love to have a copy of things like that so I can present it as evidence to the House and Senate in the upcoming hearings about the persecution. Actually, the audacity of companies to send and tell you we can't hire because you're white. I mean, of course, the ANC denies that this is true. The DA does nothing about it, but in fact, it is true. That is persecution.
Yeah. So it was that. And then, after the home invasion and that, I was badly injured, make no mistake. And then while they were busy putting me in the ambulance, the officer, a black police officer, walked up to me and asked me, did you hit the guy? So I said, well, obviously. I mean, I had no weapons with me. He was stabbing me. But in any case, then he said, well, then we have to arrest you for assault. I'm like, sorry? He attacked me in my house and they want to arrest me for defending myself in my property.
Yeah, no, look, South Africa's ass backwards. In America, you're innocent until proven guilty. The state must prove your guilt. You can be arrested for suspicion or evidence that points towards your guilt, but you have a bail process. But, in South Africa, you're presumed guilty. This is just another way to oppress people, is to target them and put them in prison. We had it with a refugee who was arrested at the border trying to leave South Africa over a bogus charge that was made up. It wasn't real. And so that person ran into some difficulties. I mean, this is the sort of thing they do to people and threaten them. But yeah, it's really sad. Hettienne McCartney says they're very clever. They rarely put it on paper. I know they rarely put it on paper. That's why I'm saying the instances where it occurs, people need to preserve this, need to scan these documents, retain the original, and share it with people who have access to Congress here in the States, because the world must know about this nonsense. I mean, utter BS. You know, I've never not hired somebody because they're black. That's ridiculous. I've never not hired somebody because they're Hispanic. That's ridiculous. I've never fired somebody because their skin color or the ethnic orientation or ethnic origin. That's just poppycock. But that is South Africa, and that's what you guys are experiencing. So the move here, what was the most distressing part about this for you, Madeline?
To be honest with you, my mom was supposed to come with us, and in my eyes, she wasn't supposed to die. So not having her coming with us and having to pack up her stuff and not being able to keep anything of hers, that to me was my most stressful. It's just losing someone and having to basically not be able to bring any or very few personal items. You've got to check what you can. So to me, that was my most stressful, is not having her here and not being able to have something of hers with me.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, was it sudden, or was she suffering from long health issues?
It was actually sudden.
I sent her to the shop to buy bread. She fell, broke her hip, and they didn't operate quick enough, so she ended up with a blood clot. She came home so I could look after her, and the next morning she had passed away.
Oh dear God, that's unfortunate. I'm sorry for your loss. That's unfortunate, and another consequence of the failed state of South Africa, where you can't even get adequate medical care for something like that. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, no, that's unfortunate. But then on the other hand, since we did the thing, she was also, okay, I'm going with you guys, but she also had a mindset that she didn't really want to come, because her whole family is buried in South Africa. She was the only child left. Her mom passed away, dad passed away. She was the only one of her family left still. And she said actually that she doesn't really want to come.
Yeah, well, she was doing it out of love for you all. So, no, it's understandable. Yeah, but so that was, that's Madeline. That's a different take. Usually, people, it's the weight. In your case, it's the loss of your mom and having to deal with that's made it difficult. Pete, what about you? What was the most difficult or worrying aspect of this program for you?
For me, I'll be honest with you, it was just the beginning over for finding the work, a job to do. That was the only thing that I was stressed about to come here, was will I be able to find work here? Because my mindset was still South Africa. If you apply for a job, then you get discriminated for against any reason or whatever. That was a little bit stressful for me.
Thinking it's going to happen, as well.
Yeah, thinking it, same situation this side. It's not, but
No, I get where you're coming from. Look, I appreciate that. I mean, no, I was never a refugee, but I've given my life up and moved all over the world. I mean, multiple countries: Germany 3 times, Italy, Tunisia, Liberia, Botswana, Malawi, Nigeria, Mauritania, Uganda, Ethiopia. Picked up and moved stakes back and forth in America, all over. It is definitely a challenge, and that was not even as a refugee. That was as someone who had employment. But the thing that kills me, and I don't mean to laugh about it. I don't laugh, but I mean, if I didn't know South Africa so well, I would chuckle about this if I was just less informed. Because when South Africans ask this question endlessly, can I find work? Are you high? Are you serious? I mean, 4% unemployment. 4% unemployment. We've got millions of jobs that are vacant. There's more work here than you can shake a stick at. Now, it may not be what you want to do, and it might not be in your field initially, but take a job, put some coin in the bank, meet your obligations, and look for a job you prefer or a better location after you have employment. You can leave a job. You're not tied to it for 40 years. It just kills me in a country where the unemployment rate is over 40% and whites are being discriminated against, colors are being discriminated against, Indians they're not getting jobs, they're not getting government tenders. For any of them to ask me, am I going to be able to find a job? It just shows how, and this is not meant as an insult, but just how woefully ignorant South Africans are about what America is. But to be fair, it's because the way America is presented by the media and by television around the world, and people really don't understand. But 4% nationwide unemployment, that's almost unheard of in a country. I mean, the Europeans are so proud of themselves. Not one of the European countries has an unemployment rate as low as ours, despite their claims that their country is so great in their social networks. Their social networks are not that great. It's all a myth.
No, listen, work here. I mean, we look at it. I wasn't specifically looking for work in my field again. I said to my wife, listen, I'm going to America and I'm going to reinvent myself. It's a new country. It's new. Start at the bottom of it, whatever company. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I applied for jobs as a janitor, so I'm not selective in what I want to do. You understand? The job that I got the job offer for now is completely out of
Your comfort zone.
I've never done it in my life, but they're employing me. They said, no, we give you a chance, we give you training. The one thing that America is very big on is in-job training. It doesn't matter where you go. They make sure, listen, okay, you sound like you're a good fit in that, but training, they're very big on that. It doesn't matter what you do. We've got training programs.
Well, in America, we don't call it that. We call it OJT, on-the-job training.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the norm. We train people on the job. That's the expectation.
And I'm honestly shocked. I have realized since being here that if you can't find work here, it's because you don't want to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
We saw a job to go and chase geese. You get a vehicle and a dog, and you can go and chase geese off golf course. I mean, it's a job, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Well, those Canada geese leave their droppings behind, and they're disgusting. They stink. They're ugly, slimy green, and they're almost the size of what dogs do, and there's no one going behind picking it up behind them. So that's probably what it is, chasing the Canada geese off a golf course. Nobody wants to go out on the green and then reach down to pick up their ball and get a handful of goose crap. So yeah, no, look, that's a job. Yeah, and like you said, they give you a dog to do it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so there is definitely opportunity. But I think people only realize that once they're here and their mindset starts to change. Coming from South Africa, you don't realize it. When you're here, you start seeing it, and that's when you start changing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So a little bit ago, Spot Enigma said that there are a lot of people that are against this program. I was shocked at how many. The rest of Africa gets a program. Now that we get a chance, the whole world is against us. I'm grateful about the chance. Well, Spot Enigma, that's because the world is full of bigots and racist, and that's just the reality. So, just pay no attention to them. They're idiots. Holden is jumping in here with, a completely unrelated comment, but I'll bring it in anyway and entertain it. He said he was at the market trip and noticed several senior citizens returning to the workforce because inflation eroded their pension and Social Security. Hey, Holden, welcome to the real world. Those would be people that didn't plan for their future. If you think you can survive on Social Security, then it's not surprising you're going to have to go do something, go to work, because Social Security is not sufficient for anybody to live on unless you live in a trailer in West Virginia or you live in Ted Kaczynski's mountain hideout in Montana in a one-broom shack. Social Security is insufficient. I peaked out on Social Security, paid the maximum Social Security for the period of time that I had to pay the max to get the maximum benefit, and my Social Security, half of it would go to my mortgage, and of that, the other half of that would go to pay taxes on my Social Security. So I would get 1/4 of the money to live off of, and I can't survive on that. That's only half of that would take my grocery bill. That would mean I have no money for car insurance, no money for car maintenance, no money for electricity, no money for gasoline, no money for natural gas. Come on, dude. Stop with the non sequiturs. Let's get back to the South African thing. Yes, of course, senior citizens have to go back to work. It's called Joe Biden. Joe Biden, Holden. You know that full well. Everything doubled in price. I mean, people are paying more in rent for a 2-bedroom apartment than I pay on my mortgage for my house. And I complain about my mortgage because it's ridiculous. All right, back to you guys. Sorry, Pete Madeline. We got a lot of distractions today, but we got to address it.
No problem.
Yeah. Anyway, so what about the boys? I mean, how are they adapting? What about your son, the high functioning autistic son? Is he liking America?
Well, put it this way, in South Africa, we could not get him to leave our apartment. He refused to go outside. Yeah, he'll just come to us and go, I'm going out. And we're like, he just leaves. He just takes walks everywhere by himself. So we're like, okay, he's loving it. I've never seen him more active, to be honest. And I know where we're living because obviously when we came here, we had no vehicle. So we did this. It's you got to build your own bike. I call it build a bike. So we all got bicycles, and up until when we got a car about 3 weeks ago, the boys would literally just take their bikes and they're gone for the whole day. We don't see them. They love it. They by the parks. They go play basketball. They're out and about almost every day.
So it sounds like they're blossoming.
They really, really are. It's for me as a mother, especially with my eldest, it is amazing to see it. It really is.
Well, there you go. That's pretty cool. So the process, had either of you or any of the kids actually ever flown before? And if you have flown, have you ever flown such a long flight?
No, that was the longest flight. This is the first time we left South Africa ever. So we haven't toured anyways or anything. So and I think you also commented on it quite a few times about how few South Africans has actually left South Africa.
Right. Listen, how few Free Staters have ever left the Free State is a more accurate statement.
Yeah. You know, I mean, things like that. So, so it was a long flight, but it was nice. I think the excitement for coming here overtook everything. You know, I was amazed at Washington airport with this little subway train that takes you from one side to the other part of the airport, and I'm like, okay, this airport is huge.
We literally look like tourists.
You can see we tourists. You know.
Well, I don't know about tourists, but fish out of water for sure.
Oh definitely.
Especially the one shop that I went to, because now I've never seen the items here, and we were all hungry and thirsty. So I was picking up things and putting it down, and until I eventually got 5 packets of chips and 5 cool drinks. And then I'm like, okay, where do I pay for this? And the guy's like, no, over there, you just have to, you tap your card. I'm like, but you need to scan it because it's already been scanned. I'm like, how? I'm holding it. And then I looked up and the whole ceiling was just cameras. I'm like, what the hell? So that caught me completely off guard. And I'm like, I want to play. I want to do this more. I want to see what happens. So that was like, wow to me.
Yeah, no, look, and that's something relatively new too. I mean, that's not something even a lot of Americans experience. You know, you still have to scan stuff on self-checkout here. So, and that's a relatively new thing. Even, you know, the tap cards, which you guys have been using for years, we've just began adopting them in America only recently, in the past few years. In fact, I still have 1 or 2 cards that have not been updated to tap because, you know, they replace them every so many years. Yeah. So someone said, Vitman America said, older people should not stress about jobs. Here at work, he has coworkers that are almost 80 years of age. Look, in America, it's illegal to discriminate against people for age. You can work as long as you want. There are some challenges to that at times, you know, but you can work as long as you have the desire to do it. And there are people discriminate for age, but it's illegal at the federal level, so they can be sued. But so it tends not to happen. But the bottom line is that people who come over here who think that they can't make it, they don't really understand America. I mean, what I would suggest is people who have any questions or concerns about America, just go watch all the videos from the Europeans who've been lied to for the last 30 years about what America is. They came for the FIFA World Cup, and now they all want to become Americans.
Yeah. You know, like I said, I mean, we when we got the flight tickets and everything, because we were following your program and whatever, I said to my wife and family, we expected the worst, like some of the families that went into horrible conditions to live and things like that. I said to him, listen, don't expect anything fancy or anything like. So mentally, we prepared ourselves for that. And then when we got here, this
Was it fancy?
accommodation is actually it was. Everybody says we got the best accommodation out of everybody, from everybody else that lives here. And I must be honest, this accommodation it's good. It's well looked after. It's clean. We don't have issues, So yeah.
Yeah, we literally came with the mindset of we starting as if we just come out of high school.
And
Some things are taking a bit longer. I'm glad I've got adult children. They help us with a few things that we don't understand. And the one thing that I have not gotten used to is you guys still use mail, like real mail.
Yeah, that's what
so
real countries do. They have mail delivery.
Yeah, no. I don't know when last I saw an envelope with mail in it. Yeah, it's every day. So that was a bit of a even at work, they'll tell me, "Oh, send me a mail." I'm like, "Okay, I'll email you," and they're like, "No, a mail." And I'm like, "I don't understand."
Well, the problem with
So,
mail is that the postal rates keep going up, and they make it expensive, and people don't use it much anymore. But when I grew up, everybody sent Christmas cards because it didn't cost very much. You sent hundreds of them out to people because you're only paying a little bit, and they went all over. And people stayed in touch. People still wrote letters. Now most of what you get in the mail is bulk junk mail, unless you receive statements from your utilities or your bank or something like that, a credit card. And a lot of them want to give you electronic to save money, but I still insist on paper copies for record, even though I can download a lot of this stuff. No, having mail that works is, I mean, look, every day my mail delivery postal letter carrier comes by while I'm live streaming typically, and Monday through Saturday, and I look forward to it. And I rush out when the stream is over and check my mail and see if anything important came in. These days it's not much, but I remember when I was in high school, living on a farm, I had no money. I would write and receive things like for the federal government, and that's how I became so attuned to environmental issues, not as a greenie, but as a conservationist. I used to request free information from the federal government about polychlorinated biphenyls and polybromated biphenyls and, toxic waste and things like that. The Federal Elections Commission, the results of elections, all this stuff would come to me, and I just, like a Hoover, I vacuumed all this stuff up, this information, and became so interested in all these different things about the world and about people and about life. But people don't use the mail much anymore. But for South Africans, it's going to be a shock because it actually works. Someone yesterday in Texas said, I mean, I need to mail a letter to Wisconsin. What do I do? I said, well, just go to the post office, take your letter there in an envelope, and and give it to them, and they'll weigh it, and they'll tell you what it costs. If it weighs more than 16 ounces, you'll have to pay more. But if it's important, just put it in the next day envelope or second day envelope that they have there, seal it. That is a tracking number on it, and you'll be able to follow it. You just pay a little bit more. And they were just amazed. I'm like, well, that's how things work in America.
uh-huh.
definitely, yeah, we actually saw. I mean, we always regretted if you had to go to Home Affairs to get your IDs and things like that done in South Africa. And
You
then we
put
got,
off.
it was like you really didn't want to go and do it because you're in endless queues and, whatever. Yeah, now we have to go do our social security. We're like, oh no, we have to go to your social security. And actually, it was pleasant dealing with it. There was no real issues.
We were actually laughing at the people complaining about standing in the queue, and I'm like, this is not a queue.
Yeah, we were like, there's like three people in front of you and you're complaining. This is not a queue. This is not, oh, I have to wait longer than half an hour. Well,
Try 8 hours.
yeah.
So it's really it's a nice change.
Well, look, I mean, I don't have much patience for waiting in queues. When I was in Maryland to register my car, the Motor Vehicle Administration, which is the main one in the state, wasn't too far away. I went there and there was like 500 people waiting there. It was insane. So I used to go to Annapolis, which was a 40-minute drive, and I could go get lunch or something like that and see Annapolis, which is a beautiful sailing town. and I would be in line for like 5 or 10 minutes until a few years after I got there, people caught on, and suddenly the line in Annapolis started growing too. So, yeah, apparently they caught on. I didn't tell anybody, but apparently people figured out. And Holden said Amazon is propping up the Postal Service. That's not true any law. You're behind the times, Holden. The multi-billion-dollar contract that Amazon signed with the Postal Service, which caused the Postal Service to be forced to deliver packages on the weekend, it cost them a lot of money. They lost money. That contract has expired. Most deliveries in many parts of the country now are done by Amazon themselves. They no longer rely on the Postal Service. Almost nothing I get from Amazon comes through the Postal Service. It almost gets delivered by a guy that's got those silly electric vehicles from Rivian that Amazon drives around. So that's not true anymore. Anyway, they're surviving off of bulk mail, and they're still not doing it. We're still subsidizing the Postal Service. But anyway, and yes, people are talking about pen pals. I had a pen pal in Finland when I was in high school, Hanna Heikkinen. She lived on a farm, and I lived on a farm. And I'll never forget that. I tried to find Hanna Heikkinen years ago, but there's like 85 Hanna Heikkinens in Finland. I had no idea who she is because we're talking 50 years later. So I would write to 85 Hanna Heikkinens. Are you the Hanna Heikkinen that I wrote to when I was in high school from Ohio? It doesn't work very well. Anyway, but guys, so I want to thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it and offering. But I want to ask, so why did you guys approach me about doing the interview? Were you trying to pay it back, or just something you said you wanted to do once you got here? Or what's the deal? So Madeline, why did you guys reach out to me?
I do remember when we were still in South Africa. I did send you a few WhatsApps to say we would. That was when you just started with the interviews. And then I said, no, when we get this side, we'll do it. So it's keeping a promise, firstly. Secondly, I think it's nice to have different people from different states and different areas also saying what they're going through. Because what is happening in Texas is different from Massachusetts, is different from New Hampshire. So it's nice for people to realize just because one area might be this way, another area isn't. Like we have been very blessed where we've been placed, because we've had a few issues with our agency. But I mean, our employment specialist has gone over and beyond helping us. With the medicals and everything, we've only been blessed with everything.
Yeah,
we've never had a problem. The agency can be jacked up a little bit, but as a whole, we South Africans, we can sort stuff out for ourselves. So the stuff they don't do, we kind of do for ourselves. So I don't want people to be discouraged that side, because, for instance, New York, nothing gets done right. Because it might just be one agency compared to another. And yes, where we're living is really horrible with the drugs and that. But New Hampshire is beautiful. It's just around the corner. So it's not the whole US. So I don't want people to get the wrong idea because they have one side or one story.
No, that's 100%. And that's one of the reasons why I do these interviews. What people are experiencing in Twin Falls, Idaho, is very different from that agency to what people are experiencing in Rochester, New York. And you talk about New York, so, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Elmira, all very different experiences, It's not the same everywhere, and even within agencies. Some people have a good agent, others have a crappy agent. But what's happening in the states, because states are sovereign and have their own laws and rules for driver's license and for renters' rights and things like that, it is important to understand that you're living in a place, and just picking up and moving somewhere else doesn't solve your problems if part of the problem is you, which some people don't realize.
Yeah, that is the thing. The other thing that I must be honest with you is, through our agency, the youth program that they've got, because my one son is under 21, it's amazing. It is what they've done for him. Just they helped him to get his GED. I mean, he got it.
He got it in a month and a half. He got his GED.
Yeah, in a month and a half. They paid for everything. And then also for his driver's license. Because of the program, they paid. Now, apparently it's something new that started here. It's only started this year. And they paid for him for 12 driving lessons and to go for his driver's test. But they are there's so many programs inside that program that's it's helping the youth tremendously.
Yeah, they even have a financial meeting.
Financial meetings. It's a volunteer that actually sits with them and works out how they can plan for their future and where to invest, and things like that, which is amazing.
No, it's amazing they have all these programs. In the chat, Stephen Swanepoel, Kentucky, said he asked a police officer cultural orientation about a South African driver's license. The police officer said the South African driver's license is good for 1 year, but I must have my passport while driving my South African license in Kentucky. That may very well be true, Stephen, but I would not risk that. I would move to get a driver's license as soon as possible in the state you're in. I would say that that may be the case in Kentucky, but do all highway patrol officers know that and abide by that? I don't know if that's true. And beyond that, if you cross the border into Missouri or Ohio or Tennessee, will those troopers in those states recognize that, or are you going to get arrested for driving without a license? And besides, what car are you driving? When you register your car, how are you going to register a car without a stateside license? Think about that. I mean, that's kind of a serious question. How do you register your car without a driver's license in the state you live in when you buy a car if you don't have a driver's license from there? Just asking for a friend. That may be true, but that may be true, but that doesn't necessarily mean it pans out in practice.
Yeah, actually, they do accept our license, the South African license. When we bought our car and that,
it's just you pay so much for insurance.
Your insurance is higher.
Much
higher, because you've got no driving record to start off with.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the case for all South Africans, but I'm guessing your insurance is even higher because you have no tie to Americans, so they put you in a high-risk group.
That's correct, Joe.
I mean, we are paying literally triple. Our insurance is triple the amount of what we're paying for our car.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't surprise me, and that's so. Do you have a Massachusetts license now?
No, not yet. We're still busy. We're still trying to get that sorted.
Yeah, I only got my learners now for August.
Yeah, the appointment.
It's a very long waiting time.
Well, look, I mean, here's the thing for me. I don't understand why people make this point. I appreciate Stephen in Kentucky making the point. Why do people make this point? You move to another country, you live in their jurisdiction, and you want to use your resources from the previous country. I mean, if you're moving there, you become a resident, then you have an obligation to become a resident. And being a resident means that you pay the taxes in the place you're in, you abide by the laws, and that includes having a motor vehicle operator's license issued by the state you're in. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I'm not picking on Stephen. Stephen's point's valid, but he says, doing my driver's license the 3rd. Yeah, okay. So see, even though Stephen can drive on his for a year, but the reason that we don't want to spread this word around to people is because in some states, that's not the rule. They won't accept that. And these people who listen to advice like that don't hear the truth are going to get themselves in trouble unnecessarily. The bottom line is most states require that you get a driver's license within 30 to 60 days of arriving in the state. Once you've established residency. As a refugee, the moment you touch down and go to a state where you've been assigned to a refugee agency, you're establishing residency from that moment on. And so you should just go get the license in the state. Ohio has made it very difficult for refugees, unfortunately, but no other state is doing that to my knowledge.
No, the only thing that I've noticed, by us, is the waiting times is very, very long, which makes it very difficult because you want to, and then you start working, and then the time and I honestly believe, stupid me, that I could walk in and just go, okay, I want to write my learners now and do it, which is not the case where we are. Might be somewhere else, but not in Massachusetts. Drivers is...
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works, but I mean, most places you have to schedule because they give examinations at set times and you have to be there for the examination. In Ohio, when I did that 40-some years ago, every day of the week they gave examinations at a certain hour and you just booked an appointment and you could get in the same week almost every time.
I now booked my learners again this morning and I got the 14th of August. And I'm like, but that's fine.
That's a month out. That's another reason, Madeline, that people should listen to my advice. And when you arrive, start motion on things like that immediately. Now, it's hard to do if you don't have a permanent residence, but you already had an apartment, so you have a mailing address. If you're stuck in a hotel, you can't use that to get your driver's license, so you have to be in a permanent residence.
And there is one thing that I don't know if it works in the other states, but like my children went and got their IDs, their Massachusetts ID. And the day my child passed his driver's license, he got a letter a few days later stating that they'll be destroying his ID.
No, his ID is not valid anymore. The driver's license is now takes its place.
Correct.
They
That is
cancel his
correct.
ID.
So you have people that are legally blind. You have people that have the suspended driving privileges, usually for reckless driving or alcohol-related incidents, and they still need identification to go to the bank. They still need identification to to get medical care. That's why states issue identification. When I was a kid, I don't even know that states did that, so I'm not sure how it happened, but that's the norm now. So Steven Swanepoel's answering questions. Bear in mind, folks, he's talking about Kentucky. That doesn't apply everywhere. I didn't have a 32 or 40 question test. I had a heck of a lot more questions on my test in Ohio. I guess they let anybody get behind the wheel in Kentucky. I'll make a point of that when I drive there next time. I'll be hyper cautious looking for people on the road that don't know how to drive. And Beluy said that in 2022 he just walked in Alabama and got a test just like that. So every place is different. And your point about doing the interview because places are different, that just drives home the point.
Exactly.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up here because I've got the news coming up. I want to thank you both for coming in. So why don't we start with Pete and ask him, any advice, any thoughts, any comments about the process you've been involved with to come over to the States as refugee. And once you're done, we'll ask Madeline for the same input.
I'll be honest with you. For me, it's just you need to have patience. You need to. It is a long process. You've got the interviews, but the behind the scenes work that's actually happening to get you here. It takes time. It really does. The thing is as well is it's fair enough. You go through the whole process on that side, but like when we spoke to our refugee agency here, where the other problem comes in is you get put on a list, and the refugee agencies actually have to see if they can accommodate you before buying the plane tickets to send you over. So, that's why some people wait a week, others might wait months because, like us, we had to wait longer because our family was bigger. So they had to find somebody that can accommodate our family. If it was a single person, it might have been quicker. So that is what we were explained by our caseworker. That is, so people just need to be patient because they also need to try and find your accommodation. Not everybody wants to rent out to refugees. So they're also sitting with a little bit of constraint on finding accommodation for refugees.
Well, in fact, that's one of the things I told people, but people don't understand that. Why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long? Well, because these agencies fired many of their people last year, made them redundant when Trump suspended the program because they didn't have money to pay salaries. And those that came back, some of them attitudes, but beyond that, you can't just come over because you've been processed and approved. We have to have an agency that can accommodate you or agree to accommodate you. And we've actually seen some agencies don't have the capacity and they lie to get people over because they get paid for refugees and they don't provide services. But they can't just bring you over. If you got 7 people in your family, we can't stick you in a house, the 1-bedroom house. So the agency has to be able to find a place that's willing to rent. So that's a good point, one I've made over and over again, and I appreciate that you get that, but some South Africans don't listen. Madeline, okay, your thoughts and any recommendations for folks?
Basically the same as what my husband said, and also you need patience that side, but you need just as much patience when you get this side. Things are not going to happen the way you want them to. A lot of things you might have to figure out for yourself. The agency, sometimes they're busy, sometimes they're just not helpful. Sometimes things take time. I mean, I know when we got here, our caseworker in the beginning, she booked our learners, our social security appointments, everything was already booked. And then she's like, oh, wait, you need your social security to be able to go and do your learners. And I had to cancel all the appointments. So basically, when you come over here, you're going to be figuring it out with your caseworker. And you need to be, firstly, kind, because I have noticed if you're nice to them, they're nice to you, which is not maybe the right thing, but it is what it is. And you're supposed to be working together with them. So listen to them, give your input to them of what you want as well. They're also used to a lot of refugees that can't speak English, so they tend to think we're a little bit dumb. Like with the culture orientation, they try and remind you to bath every day, and we're not stupid. So just take it one step at a time and work with them. Don't let them do everything. Help them. It's a two-way street.
No, that's wise advice, and I think that it's good not to take offense, and people need to understand that refugees for the past 30 years have been coming from countries that don't have electricity, modern conveniences, don't have deodorant, things like that. And so you get refugees come over here who don't bathe, and then they can't find work because they reek when they go for interviews, and they don't understand why. So it's not targeted South Africans who come from what used to be a first world country, but it is targeted for the lowest common denominator, people coming from places that don't have the conveniences that the developed world has. Guys, I want to thank you for coming on the program. Appreciate you for coming full circle and fulfilling the promise you made yourselves to come on here. It's always good to get interviews with folks, and I appreciate your time. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys in the waiting room, let you drop off, and then I'm going to take a break here and get ready for the news. All right?
Thank you for everything, Chris.
Thank you very much, Colonel.
All right, it's my...
day.
Sorry, I interrupted. See, that's the problem. I can't see you. I thought you said thank you very much, Colonel, and you paused, and then you were still going to say something else. What were you going to say?
We appreciate everything that you do. I know for a fact that there's a lot of things that you do behind the scenes that people don't know, and you don't take credit for it, or demand credit or recognition for it, and we really do appreciate it. Really, we do.
Well, thank you very much, and that is such a true statement. But it's kind of like the wall behind me. When you see the wall behind me, it's not exactly full of decorations and awards. And like last night, people were asking about challenge coins, and I had a bag of them sitting here on the floor, and I pulled them out. And people were like, those are amazing. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, but you don't see me like Joe Biden having the thing behind me in my office showing off all the coins that I've been given or that I've been earned. It's part of humility, which a lot of people don't understand. But anyway, thank you both for being on here. I really appreciate it. I wish you a good day and good success. And now that you're all working, you could turn on that super chat pipeline because, it's all about the super chats.
Yeah.
We will.
We'll start doing that.
All right. Short of that, just leave the video playing so the ads play because I get 8 times as much money for every ad here from South Africa.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm going to put you in the waiting room and I'm going to wrap up. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. That was Pete and Madeline in Lowell, Massachusetts. She has a hard time saying Lowell. It's a funny pronunciation for her. But thanks for joining us, and I thank them both for their insights and for sharing their experiences here in America. Sounds like they're off to a good start, and they want to go to New Hampshire once they get things. That makes a lot of sense. But they seem to have a good head on their shoulders. Apologize that they weren't on air, but they the way that people behave about this program in South Africa puts other people at risk, so they weren't on camera. But Hannes will be on camera this afternoon. In about 2 hours, Hannes will be on with me, film with Hannes. He's down there in Georgia, and I met him in person when I was there a few weeks ago. So, yeah, cool beans. It's all about the money. Exactly. Anyway, all right, guys, we'll see you shortly. You'll be directed to the news, which starts in 6 minutes, and we'll be back to cover events around the world today. Thank you all very much. God bless, and have a lovely day. And my profound thanks to my guests. I really appreciate them coming on. We'll see you for the news. After that, it will be Film with Hannes. Cheers.